Let's start the live section. So I was waiting for you to join. So welcome to KP classes. My name is Raju. So we were conducting some few live sections regarding different top subjects of geology, describing its importance in different competitive exams. The whole topics that we discuss over here, different types of questions come in how different ways they ask question from a particular topic, and we also were defining a particular subtopic from the subject. So let's discuss about today's topic. So today we are going to discuss about sedimentology in detail. So when it comes to sedimentology, which is a very prominent topic or subject in geology, where we deal about sedimentary rocks in detail. So when it comes to sedimentology, we have to study about sedimentary rock classification, texture and structure of sedimentary rock, petrology of sandstone and limestone, sedimentary environments and facies, reconstruction of paleo-environments, provenance and basin analysis, important sedimentary basins of India, diagenesis of siliciclastic and carbonate rock. So over here, the first chapter, sedimentary rock classification. All the different types of sedimentary rocks, when we classify, first we classify them into clastic and non-clastic rocks. When it comes to clastic, we have sandstone, shale and all those rocks, the clastic rocks, and all about the property like sandstone will be classified on the basis of the composition of framework grains, the percentage of rock fragments, percentage of feldspar, percentage of quartz content. Based on that, we classify sandstone. When it comes to limestone, we classify them. There are different Dunham's classification is there. So different types of classification of limestone on the basis of components in that. So sedimentary rock classification is very important. This is a very common question. They'll give you a ratio of sandstone framework grains like this much percentage of quartz is there, this much percentage of lime, rock fragment, this much percentage of feldspar and this much percentage of matrix is there in the rock sample. What particular type of rock is that? This is a very common question we get to see in IIT JAM papers, GATE and NET examination paper. Also in state PSUs they ask question from this particular part. So this first chapter, sedimentary rock classification chapter, is very important for IIT JAM students, especially it's important for IIT JAM students when you compare with all other competitive exams. This is important for IIT JAM. Now the next thing is texture and structure part. When it comes to sedimentary rock texture, we'll deal about the size of the particles, the particle shape, the different shape of the particles present, roundness of the particle, the sorting of the particle, the angularity, all these things are what is defined under texture chapter, which is also important when in net examination you have to have an idea about what is sorting and its importance with sorting and matrix content with the maturity of sandstone. It's very important topic. So texture part is mainly for clastic sedimentary rock, not for non-clastic sedimentary rock. That's mainly for clastic sedimentary rock. Then the next terminologies are structure part. So when it comes to structure, there are primary sedimentary structure and secondary sedimentary structure. Primary sedimentary structure is again divided into three. So all those topics are also very important for all the competitive exams. Like first one, as I said, it's mainly for IIT JAM, GATE papers, whereas texture and structure parts are mainly for all competitive exams of geology. This section is very important. Sometimes this sedimentary rock classification in detail part of mainly of limestone classification, they ask in GSI questions also. Combined geologist paper also they ask question from limestone classification. In IIT JAM and IIT JAM they mainly ask about sandstone classification. GATE also they ask about sandstone classification, but in UPSC paper they mainly ask about limestone classification in detail. Now third chapter is petrology of sandstone and limestone. The complete, as I said, classification of sandstone and limestone. When it comes to a particular sandstone, when it comes to art course, what are the different conditions where ARCOs can form, the environment in which ARCOs development can happen, or conditions where limestone formation can take place, or what is a particular sandstone defines. Like if I get a art course, what does the paleo environment refers to? Those kind of terminologies are very important. Complete petrology of sandstone and limestone is also very important. Next one is sedimentary environments and facies reconstruction of paleo environment. When it comes to sedimentary environments and facies reconstruction of paleo environment chapter, this is mainly associated with net CSIR portion. Sedimentary, complete sedimentary environment related questions are usually asked in net CSIR paper. Also asked in UPSC GSI paper also they ask question about sedimentary environments and their facies along with reconstruction of paleo environment condition is asked in this examination. Rather than IIT JAM, this is not at all important. And in GATE also very rarely they ask about sedimentary facies in GATE. So they ask but very rarely when you compare with net examination and GSI paper. So this chapter is very important for net CSIR and UPSC paper. Provenance and basin as analysis also is important for net examination and basic papers. This different sandstone provenances and basins analysis, like what depending upon the composition of the sandstone I can identify from which particular provenance it was formed. So those is very important for net examination and for UPSC. Especially for net examination, this provenance and basin analysis chapter is very important. Important sedimentary basins of India. This is actually associated with petroleum geology. There also we'll study about sedimentary basins of India. So it's actually linked topic. Both petroleum geology, coal and petroleum chapter, and also in sedimentology we define about the sedimentary basins of India part, and that's mainly important for net examination. They ask question from sedimentary basins of India. Diagenesis of silicic-clastic and carbonate rock. The detailed diagenesis processes of silicic-clastic and carbonate rock is very important for net examination and GSI. So from here we can have an idea that this chapter, like, or this subject sedimentology, this is mainly like the major subject for net examination and net examination. More number of questions will be asked from sedimentology than metamorphic portion actually in CSIR. So net sedimentology is a very important subject. All detailed parts, sedimentary environment, facies, provenance and basin analysis, sedimentary basins of India, diagenesis of silicic-clastic and carbonate rock, all these terms are very important. All these chapters are important for net examination than other competitive exams. But also in GSI they do ask question, but in net it's much more important. Like they repeatedly ask question from these sections, or number of questions will be more from sedimentology. In UPSC combined geoscientist, almost all the subjects like question numbers are same, almost the same. Plus or minus one or two can happen, but mainly all number of questions are same from all the topics. But for net examination, there are differences. Like for sometimes they do ask more questions from sedimentology and geomorphology than all other geology topics. So sedimentology and geomorphology are the most important subjects in for the preparation of net examination. You have to have an idea about geomorphology and sedimentology in detail. So hence this whole subject is very important for net CSIR. When it comes to IIT JAM, this first section and texture part is also important for IIT JAM and GATE. Numerical question can be asked from the texture part when it comes to the conversion of millimeter scale to wooden Wenborg scale to 5 scale classification. Sorry, conversion. That's the only numerical question they ask in ask from sedimentology. Numerical questions can be asked in, like they have asked in GATE. Same numerical question. They will give you a wooden Wenborg scale value and ask you to convert it into 5 scale. That those questions have asked numerous times in GATE. Same questions can be asked in IIT JAM also, net examination, and also they can ask question. And then based on the frequency curve, the sediment grain size frequency curve, they can ask questions, but numerical questions are very rarely asked when it comes to sorting, or when it comes to the sorting related numerical questions can be asked, but very rarely. Usually they will ask you theoretical parts from the text. So only most repeated numerical question is this wooden manure scale conversion to 5 scale. That's the most repeated numerical question asked from sedimentology. So sedimentology whole is not important as a numerical part question, but it is very important as a theoretical conceptual question subject. So a detailed sedimentology is important for net examination rather than IIT JAM and IIT GATE and IIT JAM paper. In net CSIR, sedimentology questions are much more important, or like much more weightage is higher in net CSIR paper than any other competitive exam subjects. So let's competitive exams actually. Now let's see a small topic in detail. So I was in discussed as the second chapter, we discussed texture and structures of sedimentary rock. So let's see about the sedimentary structures a bit detail over here. So we know we can divide the sedimentary structure into primary sedimentary structure and secondary sedimentary structure. This is primary sedimentary structure and secondary sedimentary structure. This is a two different classification of sedimentary structure. The structures that develop during the physical activities are called as primary sedimentary structure. The structures that develop because of chemical actions we call it as secondary sedimentary structure. So, for example, is diagenetic structures like concretions and all are secondary structures, the one that form because of chemical activities, chemical reactions, concretions, etc. All those are coming under secondary sedimentary structure or diagenetic sedimentary structures. When it comes to physical sedimentary structure, which are or primary sedimentary structure, we can divide that into inorganic and organic sedimentary structure. Inorganic sedimentary structure means the one that is microscopic structures, the like fabric, cross beddings, ripple marks, all these are coming under inorganic sedimentary structure. Organic sedimentary structure means the one that are formed by burrowing and trails, all those things are organic sedimentary structure which are actually megascopic. So inorganic and organic, I can write inorganic sedimentary structures are microscopic, usually microscopic to megascopic, whereas organic ones are megascopic in dimension, megascopic. Okay, so this is about the classification of sedimentary structures. Now, when it comes to the sedimentary structure in detail, the primary sedimentary structure, we can divide that into three different types on the basis of the time of their formation. A primary sedimentary structure which formed before the deposition of the rock is called as pre-depositional sedimentary structure. Pre-depositional sedimentary structure. The one that is formed during the sedimentary deposition of rock, we call it as syndepositional structure. The one that is formed after the deposition of rock is called as post-depositional structure. So these are the three different types of primary sedimentary structures: pre-depositional, syndepositional, post-depositional sedimentary structures. Pre-depositional means, from the word itself, it's known. Pre means before. Before the deposition of sedimentary rock, a structure develops. So how can a structure develop before deposition? That's because of erosional activity. So because of an erosional activity, a structure develops, and that would be pre-depositional. We call that as pre-depositional primary sedimentary structure or erosional sedimentary structure. Example is salt marks, which salt marks are pre-depositional or erosional sedimentary structures, which are also called as interbed structures. Interbed means between the bed. If this is one sedimentary rock and another sedimentary rock is above that, in between these two beds, we will get the erosional sedimentary structure or the pre-depositional sedimentary structure. Next one is syn-depositional structure. Syn-depositional structure formed during the deposition, or I can call that as depositional sedimentary structure, because of the pattern of sedimentary deposition during the particular pattern of sedimentary deposition, the structures develop, and those are intra-bed. Intra-bed means I get it in a single bed. For example, cross-bedding. Cross-beddings are structures that I get inside a particular bed. So cross beds are intra-bed sedimentary structure, whereas soil marks are interbed. Soil marks will be found in bottom of a sandstone, or on top of bottom of the sandstone is what we get the soil mark. That's why the term soil mark. Soil means bottom. Okay. Now next, third depositional structure is post depositional structure. After deposition of a sedimentary rock, because of any particular activity, it causes a deformation to happen. A deformation happened, maybe because of movement of water, or because of variation in the density. If there is a shale bed, upon that a sandstone deposition happened. So sandstone is much more denser than shale. So because of that, the overburden of sandstone can cause some deformation on shale. So, or because of earthquake, because of liquefaction activities, a particular deformation can happen after deposition of a bed, and hence those depositional structures, those primary structures which are called as post depositional structures or deformational structures, they are also called as deformed intrabed and interbed. They can be either intrabed or interbed. So we call them as deformed intrabed or interbed. Okay, that's the terminology that we use. Now let's see this depositional structure, intrabed structures with detail. So the major depositional structure is bed forms. Bed forms are the major depositional structures. So depositional structures are syn-depositional. During the formation of the rock, a structure is been developing, and that is the major cause of formation of bed forms. So bed forms, or these are intra-bed structures. So when it comes to the term bedding, or when it comes to the term bed, means that is a single sedimentation unit. That's what we call it as a bed form. So when it comes to the different structures associated with bed forms, it can be graded bedding, flat bedding, massive bedding. Massive bedding means if a set of bedding does not have any particular sedimentary structure in that, we call it as a massive bedding. There is no peculiar sedimentary structure formed inside that bed. Simple deposition has happened over there. Due to diagenesis, bed may have formed, and there is no particular characteristic over there, and hence we call that as a massive bedding. Then there is flat bedding, plain beds are there. Then graded bedding. Graded bedding means there is a gradation of grain size. Fine grains on the top and coarser grains on the bottom. That situation is called as fining upward gradation, or called as normal gradation. If it is the opposite, if we have coarser grains on the top, finer grains on the bottom, we call it as coarsening upward succession, or we call it that as reverse gradation. Normal gradation is the most common way of gradation found on the nature. Reverse gradations are comparatively rare than normal gradation. There are few situations that actually cause formation of reverse gradation. For example, in delta. In delta, progradation causes formation of reverse gradation. Progradation of delta causes reverse gradation. Then another example is the turbidity current deposit. Mid-fan deposits usually have the reverse gradation, coarsening upward succession. Crevice play shows a coarsening upward succession, etc. These are the examples for coarsening upward succession or reverse gradation. Normal gradation is very common, like obviously because of gravity, larger boulders will be depositing first. Then at last, when the energy situation is the least, then fine-grained clay particles or mud deposition will happen. So with the succession will be coarser grains on the bottom, fine grained on the top. So it is fining upward. That is normal gradation, which is very common. Okay, so this formation of reverse gradation can happen in different processes. So we'll discuss those things in detail later. Let's see the classification of different bed forms. Like, so over here you can see these are ripples, dunes, plain bed and anti-dunes. These are different sedimentary forms where depending upon the energy situation we can classify them according to, like, at high energy situation where will you find a particular structure, and at low energy situation which one will you get. So to define this we have to understand the term fraud number. So we'll be discussing fraud number in detail in geomorphology. There we define how fraud number value F, if it is greater than 1, it defines an upper flow regime, or it defines a supercritical flow. Upper flow regime or a supercritical flow. If F value is equal to 1, that means it defines a critical flow. If F is less than 1, it defines a lower flow regime or subcritical flow. So when it is subcritical flow, the energy condition is very low. Hence we call it as a low flow regime. If it is a grade F flow number is greater than 1, it defines an upper flow regime, or the energy condition is much higher. The flow situation is called as supercritical flow. So during the supercritical flow situation or in the upper flow regime, we get the structure called as antidunes. Antidunes speciality is that it happens when the depth of water is comparatively lower, but when the speed of water is much higher, and the deposition of sediment happens in such a way that it dips towards the upstream direction. Whereas when it comes to ripples and dunes form in the lower flow regime, the depth of water is much higher, and you can see that the water and the foam, the developing dunes develop, both of them are out of phase. Whereas over here, in the case of anti-dunes, the water surface and the dunes are in phase. Wherever there is crust, here also it's the crust, trough, crust, crust. Whereas over here, this is the crust and this is the trough situation, out of phase condition. So this energy situation, so from ripples develop at the lowermost energy situation. Then when velocity increases, it causes formation of dune. Then at F is equal to 1 condition, it causes formation of flat beds or plain beds develop. Then after that, anti-dunes form. So this is a very common question in both net examination and for GSI paper. They'll give you a like question, keeping the grain size constant, which one of the following represents correct sequence of development of bed forms with increasing flow velocity. This is a very common question in competitive exams like net CSIR and GSI papers. So the answer will be here they have asked what we have to calculate is represent correct sequence of development of bed forms with increasing flow velocity. We know that ripples form at lowermost energy, antidunes form at much more higher energy. So the option should be B, ripple, dune, antidune and flutes. Flute are erosional sedimentary structures which develop at turbidity movement, water current movement. That means the energy situation is much higher. It's not laminar, it's turbidity current movement, but causes formation of flutes. Hence, the energy situation over there is much higher. So the answer will be B. So in detail, we'll explain all these terms in the class. So I hope you guys have an idea about the topics that you have to study for all the competitive exams and importance of sedimentology in next CSIR Earth-science paper and UPSC Geology paper. So here in KP classes, we teach sedimentology or all any geology subject in detail for all the competitive exams. If you want to have get appear for net examination, we'll be explaining the sedimentology part in detail for you, or if it is for GATE and GSI paper, according to that we'll explain the sections for you. Then like there are for IIT JAM also we conduct course over here. So whatever your requirement is, if you are a GATE or GSI NET CSR or IIT JAM, any geology competitive exam aspirant, if you guys have a small doubt about how to appear for a competitive exam, or you are doubtful about the knowledge you have, we are here to help you. So please contact us with the number and the details given in the description box. There is a link over there where you can click on that and fill the form for trial form, class form, where if you guys want a demo class, we will help you out by giving a demo class. You will get an idea about the classes that we provide over here, how the setup will be. So, and other than online, offline recorded lecture sections, we have study materials, mock test available. Any the courses are given in the GATE KP GATE classes application. You can download KP GATE class application and log on to that and purchase the courses according to your wish. Or you can contact us. We'll guide you technically. Also, we'll guide you how to get course through the application. Study materials are also available through the application. You can get the available study materials too. So subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we'll be keep on conducting live sessions like this, or other videos will be uploading in YouTube channel. So if you, which will be useful for any geology aspirant, competitive exam aspirants. So subscribe to our channel so that you will get notifications about our sections. So thank you so much. We'll meet in another live section.